Welcome back. This is part 4 of Microsoft Word 2016 Module 3. We are on page 157, and now we're going to insert a table, and I'm going to zoom in so that I can see a little bit better what I'm doing on my screen, and hopefully you can too on your Chromebooks. So let's go ahead and click here underneath this paragraph, and then click on the Insert tab, and then click on Table, and let's put a 1 by 3 table, or a 3 by 1, so 3 cells, 1 row, and click that, and you can see it inserted a table. It has 3 columns going across, and it's 1 row. Now let's enter data in the table. We're at the bottom of page 158 with your insertion point in the left cell of the table. And so that automatically does that for you. And you can see the blinking cursor inside the left cell. Type the word activity. Oops, misspell. Activity. Then press Tab key on your keyboard. It automatically advances the insertion point to the next cell. Type event dates, then press the Tab key. Type times, and we have completed putting in the data for that row. Now, to enter more data in a table, the following steps on page 159 will help us enter the remaining data in the table. With your insertion point at the end of the word times in the third column of the first row, go ahead and hit the Tab key again, and you will see that Word automatically thinks that you want to continue with your table, and it makes a new row for you with the 3 columns. So let's go ahead and finish that up. Type booth, set up, press Tab, type Friday, October 27, and Tab, then type 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock p.m. Then press the Tab key with your left pinky. Then type booth sales, Tab, Saturday, October 28, Tab, 9 o'clock a.m. to 6 o'clock p.m. Press Tab, and in our 4th row, type booth sales, and then Tab, Sunday, October 29, Tab, 9 o'clock a.m. to 3 o'clock p.m. And in the 5th row, booth take down, tab over with your left pinky, and then that would be on Sunday, October 29, 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m. And I'm just going to glance really quick to make sure I don't have any obvious mistakes. And if I do, I'll go back and fix those. Okay. So now we are on page 159, or actually turn the page to 160. And before we apply our table style, and we know everything's correct here, go ahead and click Save so we don't lose any of that. Okay, page 160. If the first column checkbox in the Table Style Options group contains a check mark, click the checkbox to remove the check mark because you do not want the first column in the table formatted differently from the rest of the table. So over on the left-hand side in the Table Style Options, you should be on the Table Tools Design tab, but over here there is a check mark where it says First Column, and we want to uncheck that. Now with your insertion point, well, before we move our insertion point, make sure that the header row is check marked, the total row is not, the banded rows is, and then all of these should not be check marked. Now click within your table somewhere so that you have your insertion point there, and then click on the More button in your Table Styles group, and it gives you a lot of different options to choose from. We are going to click on the one that says Pointer on Grid Table 6 Colorful Accent 3 Table Style. Okay. It is the fourth one over, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the seventh one down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's this one. Grid Table 6, Colorful Accent 3. So click that and click Save. Now let's see what would happen if we click on some of these table style options. So the first thing we're going to do is click Uncheck Header Row. And notice that when you uncheck it, what happens to your document. So let's leave it checked. Then for the total row, check mark that. And the total row is if you have a lot of numbers like dollars or just something that you want to add up. The total row would be the one at the bottom, because when you add things or times things or you want to add something up, then you sum it and it's always at the bottom. So make sure that the total row is not checked. And then let's look at the banded rows. It's check marked, but what happens if we uncheck it? And you can see that the banded rows disappear, but we want the banded rows, so leave that check marked. You can continue to do and look at all of these first column, last column, banded columns, but before you move on, make sure that just the header row and the banded rows is check marked. Now we are at the bottom of page 161. We're going to resize table columns to fit table contents. So with your insertion point in the table, display the Table Tools Layout tab. So we have our insertion point inside of this table, and right now we're on the Design tab for the Table Tools. We need to click here on the Layout tab, Table Tools. Now we're going to click the Auto Fit button, which is in the Cell Size group, and click the Auto Fit button. Now click Auto Fit Contents, which is the first part of that. So click that. Word automatically adjusts the width of the columns based on the text in the table. Turn to page 162. Now we're going to select a column. The only column that we want is the times column. So move your insertion point, and I'll zoom in just a little bit so it looks better, but move your insertion point over top of the times column. until it turns into a thicker black down arrow. And then once it does, click it, and then you are selecting that entire column. Page 163. Oh wait, yep, that's all we needed to do there. Okay, so page 163. We want to align data in cells, so go ahead and turn to page 164. Within the cells column that is selected, click the desired alignment. In this case, we want the Align Top Center button. And again, this is on the Layout tab of the Table Tools. So go ahead and click Layout tab if it's not selected. And then in the Alignment group, click the Align Top Center button, which would be the one at the top in the middle. So Align Top Center. And notice that the times all are aligned and they are centered. Now we're going to center the table. Go ahead and click within the table, and then you notice that there is a little box in the top left-hand corner that has the double-headed arrow going vertically and horizontally. If you just put your mouse on top of that and click it, then the whole entire table is selected. Now we're on page 165. Click the Center button on the mini toolbar to center the selected table between the left and right page margins. So, when we clicked on that, this little toolbar popped up. And one of the options is that we can center, and that's what you need to click on. So go ahead and click on that. And it centered the table. And it looks so much better. Let me zoom out and show you my paper. You can see it's now centered. All right, now we need to insert a row in the table. Bottom of page 165. Position your insertion point somewhere in the first row of the table. So just double click somewhere within that first. Okay, so it's somewhere in that first row because we're going to insert a row above that. So click on the Layout tab at the top under Table Tools, and then in the Rows and Columns group on the ribbon, click Insert Rows Above, and mine actually says just Insert Above instead of Insert Rows Above. So we just want to Insert Above, so click that. And now we have a blank row that is still formatted with 3 columns, and it is above where the first row was. All right, so if you wanted to do a column, which we don't, but if you did, you would just click here and then you would just say insert to the left or insert to the right. You can also do with the rows, you can insert one below. Those are all available here. All right, so now we're going to merge some cells. So click and select the 3 cells that are in that first row. So they should all be gray shaded. I'm going to zoom in just a little. And on the Layout tab in the Merge group, we're going to click Merge Cells, and what that's going to do is going to take away the columns in that first row. So we only have 1 column, but it's still sitting on top of the 3 columns. Okay. Turn to page 168. Click inside that first row, and we want to center this heading, which is vendor timetable. Now click Save. Bottom of page 168, we're going to change the font of text in just 1 table row. So go ahead and select just by clicking beside that second row where it has activity events, event dates and times, and then go back to the, well, when you select it, Go back up to the Home tab and then click Bold. So we want those to stand out. Now we're on page 169. We're going to add more text. Position your insertion point on the paragraph mark below the table and then press Enter. So right below the table, just click there and then press Enter. We'll scroll down just a little. And then type, please note the following vendor guidelines, colon, and then press Enter. And now we're going to make a bulleted list. On your keyboard, hold the Shift key down and then press the 8 key to make an asterisk. And that is our first character on the line. Now press the space bar to convert the asterisk to a bullet character. And turn to page 170. Type, vendors must bring their own tables and chairs. And I misspelled, so I'm going to fix that. Tables and chairs. And period. Then press Enter, and Word says, hey, that person wants to do another bulleted item, and it automatically gave us a bullet. Now type, vendors must supply their own electrical cords. Press Enter. Type, vendors shall comply with fire, safety, and health regulations. Press Enter. And then press Enter again because we don't want any more bulleted items. And turn to page 171. Alright, so the following steps enter the remainder of the text of the letter. Okay, with your insertion point positioned on the paragraph below the bulleted list, press the Enter key. Okay, so press the Enter key and then type this paragraph. And I'm going to go ahead and pause my video and type it out. And when I unpause, it'll magically appear. And then you can pause it and type it out. And just real quick, on this section where I'm typing, I'm going to insert my building block, and I'm just going to type TAD and press space, and it didn't work. Okay, hold on. The building block that we created before, apparently I didn't save it, or it just is, I'm not sure what happened there. But anyways, we'll have to spell that one out. Okay, so you've paused your video and you've typed this paragraph. When you get to the end where it says, please contact me if you need additional information, press the Enter key twice. Press the Tab key to position the insertion point at the 4-inch mark that we created. Type sincerely, and then press the Enter key 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Press the Tab key to position your insertion point at the tab stop set at the 4-inch mark on the ruler. Now type this person's name, which is Camden Ackerman, and then press the Enter key. If requested by your instructor, enter your name instead of the name stated above, and that's not necessary. Number 4 on page 171, press the Tab key to position the insertion point at the tab stop set at the 4-inch mark. Then type Park District Events Coordinator to finish the letter. And now save, click Save, and we are on page 172. And this is the last section of this video, and this will be the last video. So to address and print an envelope or a mailing label, what you need to do is scroll within the letter so that you can see the inside address, and then select the inside address. So just drag through it to select it. Then select the Mailings tab at the top. Then click the Create Envelopes button. So in the Create group on the ribbon, click on Envelopes and let that load. And after that loads, you have a pop-up box that appears. It automatically put the delivery address in. And we also want a return address. So type in return address as such. Village of Apple Park, enter. 15 Center Street, enter. Horizon, Montana, and double space after the state. And I misspelled Horizon. Let's see, Horizon. Okay, so you double spaced after the capital M, capital T, and the zip code is 33568 as our return address. At this point, if you were actually going to print this out, you would put an envelope in your printer, and then you would click print to print the envelope. And we are just going to go ahead and click cancel. Go ahead and save one more time. And close it out. We are finished with Microsoft Word Module 3. Your next assignment will be on page 174, Apply Your Knowledge, and you can work on that now.